Welcome students. In this video we are going to see about English for class 6. Let us learn about grammar for class 6. The topic of this video is about direct and indirect speech. We see the ways of speech, direct speech definition and indirect speech definition. Whenever someone tells you something or shares something with you, there are two ways to narrate what the person said. One is direct speech and another one is indirect speech. Direct speech, it is a way to narrate what someone said using the speaker's exact words. The reporter's speech is placed within quotation marks and it is opposite using a comma. Indirect speech. In indirect speech, the original words of the speaker get changed. The pronoun, the tense and the adverb of time and place in the reporter's speech get changed. Example, in direct speech, Sandhya said to me, I love talking to you. In indirect speech, Sandhya told me that she loved talking to me. Direct speech. The actual words of the speaker are called direct speech. In direct speech, we use inverted commas in order to mark the exact words of the speaker. Example, Vijay said, I am learning music. Ramesh said, my sister is playing guitar. Tom says, I feel happy today. In these sentences, says are called reporting verbs. The words in inverted commas are the actual words of the speaker. Let us see indirect speech or reported speech. In indirect speech, we give only the substance or idea of what the speaker said. Indirect speech refers to reporting the actual words of speaker to another person. In the indirect speech, we give only the substance or idea of what the speaker said. Example, Vijay said that he was learning music. Ramesh said that his sister was playing guitar. Tom says that he feels happy that day. There is a rules for changing direct speech into indirect speech. Let's see one by one. First rule, leave out the comma after the reporting verb and also leave out the inverted commas. Second rule, use the conjunction that before the indirect speech begins, but often it is optional, not so compulsory. Change all the present tenses into corresponding past tense is the third rule. Example, is, am become was, or becomes were, has, have becomes had, can becomes could, may becomes might, will becomes would, shall becomes should. This is the tenses changes in direct speech in indirect speech. The present simple tense is changes into past simple tense and the present continuous changes into past continuous. Present perfect is changes to past perfect and the past simple is changes into past perfect and the past continuous is changes into past perfect continuous. Let us see the examples and the changes of tenses in direct and indirect speech. 1. Verb in simple present tense becomes simple past. Example, Vimala said, I like flowers is a direct speech. In direct speech, they use a present tense format. Vimala said that she liked flowers is an indirect speech. In this sentence, the present tense changes into simple past. And then verb in present continuous tense becomes past continuous. Example, Vinod said, I am reading a novel is a direct speech. In indirect speech, Vinod said that he was reading a novel. The present continuous tense in direct speech changes into past continuous in indirect speech. 3. Verb in present perfect becomes past perfect. Example, the students said, we have done our best is a direct speech. The students said that they had done their best. The present perfect in the direct speech totally changes into past perfect in indirect speech. And then finally, verb in present perfect continuous becomes past perfect continuous. Example, he said, it has been raining here for 2 hours is a direct speech. He said that it had been raining there for 2 hours is an indirect speech. The present perfect continuous in direct speech totally changes into past perfect continuous in indirect speech. Here, verb in simple past becomes past perfect or simple past without any changes. There is no changes in indirect speech. The same tense must be followed. Example, Hari said, I like this room. In indirect speech, Hari said that he liked that room, or it may be a past perfect. Hari said that he had liked that room. The 2 ways of using a tense. And then verb in past continuous becomes past perfect continuous or sometimes past continue. She said, I was writing a letter. She said that she had been writing a letter, or she said that she was writing a letter. In indirect speech, there is sometimes a past perfect continuous using or past continue without any changes in the sentences. Rule number H. In the future tense, shall becomes should and will becomes would, can becomes could, may becomes might. Let us see the examples. He said, I will start soon is a direct speech. He said that he would start soon is an indirect speech. Will becomes would. Ramesh said, I can help you is a direct speech. Ramesh said that he could help me is an indirect speech. Can becomes could. She said it may rain is a direct speech. She said that it might rain in indirect speech. May becomes might. Rule number I. If the reporting verb is in the present tense, then there is no change in the tense. Example, Vijay says, I am going to the market is a direct speech. Vijay says that he is going to the market is indirect speech. The servant says tea is ready is direct speech. The servant says that tea is ready in indirect speech. There is no change in the tense form. Rule J. If the reporting verb is in the future tense, then also there is no change in the tense. Example, Helen will say, I am having a dance program. In indirect speech, Helen will say that she is having a dance program. In this sentence, there is no change in the tense. Rule K. If we report a universal or scientific or proverbial or permanent fact, then also there is no change in the tense. In a universal, scientific, proverbial or permanent fact, then also there is no change in the tense. Example, the teacher said the earth is round is a direct speech. The teacher said that the earth is round is an indirect speech. There is no change in the tense format. He said honesty is the best policy is a direct speech. He said that honesty is the best policy is an indirect speech. The priest said God is great is a direct speech. The priest said that God is great is an indirect speech. There is some of the changes in the word itself. Rule number L. Remember that words expressing nearness in time and place will be changed into words showing distance. Example, in direct speech and indirect speech, there are changes in the words also. Examples are there. This changes to that, these changes to those, now changes to then or at that time, today changes to that day, ago changes to before, last night changes to previous night, tonight changes to that night, tomorrow is changes to the next day or the following day, the day after. The yesterday is changes to the previous day or the day before. The next week is changes to the following week. Here changes to that, thus changes to show, come changes to go. Rule M. The table below gives the changes we make to pronouns when we report speech. I changes to he or she, you changes to I or me changes to him or her, us changes to them, you changes to we or us, my changes to his or her, mine changes to his or hers, yours changes to our changes to that. Let us see some examples for direct and indirect speech. Mary said, I am happy to see you is a direct speech. Mary said that she was happy to see you is an indirect speech. Second, Ramesh said, my sister is playing guitar is a direct speech. Ramesh said that his sister was playing guitar is an indirect speech. He asked me, what are they doing is a direct speech. He asked me that what they were doing is an indirect speech. The teacher asked me, why haven't you done your homework is a direct speech. The teacher asked me that why I had not done my homework is an indirect speech. The principal asked, has he scored good marks this time is a direct speech. The principal asked that had he scored good marks that time is an indirect speech. He said, I can cook food is a direct speech. He said that he could cook food is an indirect speech. They said, we may go to Canada is a direct speech. They said that they might go to Canada is an indirect speech. Let us see the direct and indirect speech using imperative sentences. In imperative sentences, reporting verb is changed into ask, advise, request, command, order. Tense remains the same. The verb is put in the infinitive too. Example, I said, take your seat is a direct speech. I asked him to take his seat is an indirect speech. Some of the rules in imperative sentences using direct and indirect. Common reporting verb is told. No need to change the tense. Positive in command form. He told me come back later. He told me to come back later. Negative form. She told me don't wait for me. She told me not to wait for her. Imperative sentences, there is a rules. Change said to into ordered or requested or suggested or forbade. Conjunction to is used to replace comma and inverted comma. To is followed by verb 1. Tense and pronouns change according to rules mentioned previously. The examples of imperative sentences. In direct speech, clean the blackboard, the teacher said to the boy. In reported speech, that teacher told the boy to clean the blackboard. Direct, turn off the TV, she said. In reported, she told him to turn off the TV. Direct speech, don't talk loud, he said to the children. Reported speech, he told the children not to talk loud. First sentence is in the request form. Direct, please open the window, she said. In reported speech, she asked him to open the window. In the second sentence, order format. Direct speech, don't shoot, said the officer. In reported speech, the officer ordered the soldier not to shoot. The third sentence is in the advice form. Direct speech, improve your spelling, the teacher said. In reported speech, the teacher advised me to improve my spelling. We learn about the direct and indirect speeches, rules and examples. Thank you.